morning. You're watching Outsiders with Rowan Dean and with Piers Ackerman from the Sunday Telegraph. I'm delighted now, Piers, to introduce a terrific guest. He's coming to us from Melbourne. He's the Dean of... he's the Dean and the Ronald Lauder Chair for Counter-Terrorism at the Lauder School of Government, Diplomacy and Strategy in Israel. He's also the founder and executive director of the International Institute for Counter-Terrorism. I'm delighted to welcome to Outsiders Professor Boaz Ganor. Professor, how are you?
Thank you for having me. It's a pleasure being here, yeah.
Good morning, Boaz. You were well ahead of the curve on this. I think you founded the ICT back in the 90s, correct?
Right, in 1996, actually, yeah.
Right, I remember visiting it down in just outside Tel Aviv.
Yeah, you know, you're mentioning that this is the main center of excellence for counterterrorism in Israel. And we actually brought the concept of bringing academic points of views, academic tools, academic disciplines in order to have better understanding and better practices in counterterrorism.
Now just tell me, Boaz, you've termed the phrase jihadi zombies. Now, I'm fascinated by, tell us about the jihadi zombies. We'll get into your work on counterterrorism and your formulas, if you like, for terrorism and counterterrorism. But just explain the jihadi zombies to me.
Okay, the term, of course, wants to give a statement, and the statement is the following one. We see a trend globally, in Israel and outside Israel, in which traditional terrorism that used to be conducted by terrorist organizations, organized terrorist organizations, that prepared long preparations before conducting an attack, we see today more and more what is being commonly known under the name of lone wolves. Lone wolves is an individual that have been radicalized, usually online, and then one day decided to commit an attack without any operational ties to a terrorist organization. We at ICT in Israel try to learn about this phenomenon and to understand mainly what motivates those guys. You know, it's a very interesting question why this youngster is conducting a lone wolf attack, but his brother doesn't, although they are living within the same surrounding, under the same economical situation, with the same culture, and so on and so forth. And we have found that many of them are being motivated by what they believe is the honorable thing to do. This is the incitement that they were exposed to over the internet. So they do it for gaining honor. And in order to take this honor from them, I use this slogan, the jihadi zombies, because zombies doesn't have any honor under any case. And the behavior of them is like a zombie with no shred of honor.
Now, Boaz, Professor, you noticed that in a lot of the Palestinian terrorists who are caught or arrested are smiling at the camera, and the photo we just put up a moment ago was part of that. So they've been arrested. Tell us your observations. Why are they smiling at the point of being caught?
Actually, those pictures of those terrorists that are smiling, and by the way, all those pictures have been taken immediately after they killed people in the street, and they have been handcuffed, and they're going probably to spend their life in the jail system, and still they are smiling. So the question, is it a photo opportunity? Well, the answer is probably no. The smile is a reflection for their inner calculation of cost-benefit. And again, based on the radicalization process, they have been taught to believe that what they did just now is the beneficial thing to do, is the honorable thing to do, and the smile is the reflection. The pictures that you see are pictures that have been taken in Israel, but many victims of lone wolf terrorists around the world that have been just now stabbed by a terrorist are reporting that they saw a huge smile on the face of the terrorist when they've been attacked by him. So this was really what we wanted to understand. How come those guys are smiling in this condition, although they are going to spend their life in jail? And I think that our research shows that the answer has to do with the cost-benefit analysis, and they believe that what they did is the honorable thing to do.
So, Professor, can you just tell us, what is the economic cost to the Palestinian Authority which pays the benefits to those people who are imprisoned and after conviction for terrorist crimes. How much is that a year?
Well, I don't know the exact number. It depends how many people you killed. It depends if you're belonging to this organization or the other. There are many variants and many factors that are being calculated. But the fact is that the Palestinian Authority, as a policy, is actually subsidizing those attacks and giving this stipendship to the families of the terrorists. Now, going back to this smile, going back to this calculation of cost-benefit, this is definitely a factor, because we have found in the research that we did that many of those youngsters suffer from unstable psychological situation or psychiatric situation. Some of them would probably commit a suicide in any case, but they prefer this type of suicide by a cop, by killing Jews, knowing that their families will be showered with money as an outcome of that. It's only the logical thing to do. This is why in the cost-benefit analysis, they think it's much more beneficial than costly to conduct those types of attacks.
So essentially, the United Nations, which is propping up the Palestinian Authority, is subsidizing terrorism by paying the families of those convicted of murder.
You definitely can say that. I think that international pressure on the PA, on the Palestinian Authority, on that matter, can have good fruits, because practically, and you know, we have to say it on the same time, Abu Mazen, the leader of the Palestinians, unlike his predecessor, Yasser Arafat, is doing a lot in order to prevent terrorist attacks. Not because he's, God forbid, liking Israel or he's a Zionist or something, because he understands that terrorism is counterproductive for the Palestinian national interest. But on that matter, because of internal reasons, he's doing an enormous mistake for his own sake and definitely for us, for the Israelis. So international pressure, international explanation to the Palestinian authorities that if you would go on with this wrong policy, you will bear the consequences, I think might have an influence here.
So how do you see the other Arab states regarding Palestine now, or the Palestinian Authority? Are they becoming more and more ostracized?
Yes, definitely. And here we need to look at the big picture. The big picture is that the Middle East is changing, not favorably, but it's changing. The Iranians are strengthening the Shiite hegemony in the northern part of the Middle East. You know, when Khomeini conducted his revolution in Iran in 1979 and changed the nature of Iran into an Islamic Shiite republic, that was not the goal that he set to himself. He had a very concrete goal, and that was, and he spelled it out, to export the Khomeini revolution all over the Middle East and practically all over the world. And the first thing to do is to do it with the Shiite crescent country. The Shiite crescent country, i.e. Iran, Iraq, Syria, and Lebanon. Only now, only at those days when after ISIS was defeated, and Iran is deploying their forces in Iraq, in Syria, with the support of the Russians, his dream, his vision is coming true. Now, that is a grave risk to the other part of the Middle East, the more southern part, and those are the Sunni pragmatic countries headed by Saudi Arabia, by the Gulf countries, Jordan, Egypt. And suddenly they feel very threatened with the ongoing hegemony of the Shiite. They looked at Obama for many years that maybe they would get this support, or at least they can rely on Washington, and it didn't happen. So they looked around and they saw there is only one actor which is strong enough to be some kind of an ally, if not officially, then unofficially, and this is Israel. And that made a huge change in their relations with Israel. And of course, this actually moved away the Palestinian rift that was standing between Israel and those specific countries, and isolate the Palestinians, which unfortunately didn't understand that this is the time, this is the window of opportunity to try to do something in order to cease the war between Israel and the Palestinians and go for peace. Instead of that, they are reluctant even to have direct talks with the Israelis.
Now, just before we go, Boaz, Professor, I just want to mention your two books, The Counter-Terrorism Puzzle, A Guide for Decision Makers, and also your upcoming book, Global Alert, Modern Terrorism, Rationality and the Challenge to the Democratic World.
Thank you.
And I want to thank AJAC for doing a brilliant job bringing you out to Australia so we can learn from you. One of the things you have done is look into the mind of these terrorists. Now, talk us through the sexual component, if you like, of the young male Muslim who is attracted to jihadism and your observations on that.
Look, you can do this drill by yourself. When you finish your STEAM program, if you go outside and pick up randomly the first person you see in Sydney or here in Melbourne and ask them one question, are terrorists in general rational actors? Most probably the answer would be, of course not. How could they be rational actors? Those guys are lunatics. They are ready to strap themselves with suicide belt, to kill themselves in order to kill others. This is not a rational behavior. Well, I beg to differ. I would say, and I'm generalizing here, that most of the terrorists are rational actors. And how could I say that? Because when you analyze rationality, you actually analyze a process, a rational decision process, that start from different alternatives of behavior that anyone can choose from what he prefers, and he's choosing the alternative which he believes that it will be more beneficial than costly in order to achieve his goals. That's a rational decision-making process. That's what I do every day. That's what you, Ron, and Peter are doing every day. Your viewers are doing every day. And I would argue that Abu Bakr al-Baghdadi, the head of ISIS, is doing every day. The only difference is that our calculus of cost-benefit changes from culture to culture, from religion to religion, from experience to experience, from history to history, from interest to interest, and therefore it's very dynamic. And my calculus of cost-benefit is different than Ayman al-Zawahiri, head of Al-Qaeda, or anybody else. Now, if we go back to the rationale of the suicide attacker, based again on the nonsense that he was exposed to in the propaganda of ISIS and Al-Qaeda and other terrorist organizations, really believes that what he's doing is more beneficial than costly. Yes, he might be dead, but he's immediately transferring his life from here to a much better life in heaven. And he's going to have to be showered with so many benefits that he believed that he would get, including 72 virgins and so on and so forth. So when you are thinking about those youngsters in a very patriarchal society, that any association between a female and a male is forbidden before, even talk is forbidden before marriage, this is a very concrete benefit to be able to do what he's doing, to be killed, and immediately thereafter, the saying that they're using is that when the first drop of blood is being shedded from the body of the shaheed, of the martyr, of the suicide attacker, he's already knocking on the doors of heaven. When you have this in mind, that's very beneficial.
Professor Boaz Ganor, thanks so much, and I urge people to read your books. Great to have you peering into the mind of terrorists. I don't know how you do it and keep sane, but it's been great having you on Outsiders, and enjoy the rest of your time in Australia.